Hey Huffers, and welcome to Angus IT, the podcast all about anxiety, depression, and other cheerful topics, of which today I am not quite sure where we will adventure to. I have been sitting here for a week contemplating what I will talk about this week, and I had a couple ideas, and I wrote them down, and I made some bullet points under them, and past few days I've just stared at them and been like, I don't know, can my brain connect the dots here to say words out of my mouth? And so my next foolproof plan was to just get myself jacked up on sugar and then come over here into the podcasting world and just start talking. That's how I started this podcast, so surely it can get me by for this week. I don't know, we'll see. Some of the things I did try to think of before I came on here was maybe just some life updates, life stories. I haven't directly talked about the events of my life. I feel like there have been little snippets you hear during the goals episode, or when I'm talking about a bigger concept, I share anecdotes here and there, but I don't know, the present is the present. And look, I don't know, right now we just have the Oreo cookie with no lard in the middle. So I'm the lard right now, coming to you. Let's get creamy. No, dislike, delete. So in the South, it is snake mating season. Yes, truly is Halloween time. I'm not a big fan of snakes. I used to not be bothered by them. I wasn't a big fan of snakes, but I didn't come across them. So it got to be one of those things where, yeah, okay, I don't like them. But I'd never actually been confronted with one until recently. And that is because I live in Charleston and we have a lot of wildlife here. So snakes are aplenty. Now, it's not like I walk out my door and there's just an army of snakes waiting for me. Though at my old apartment, where I lived in a cave in the back of the woods, no joke, I would sometimes come home and it would be dark and there would be a bunch of these little worms wiggling around, except no, they were baby snakes. And that is the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. If you have never been greeted by a herd of baby snakes, I guess you haven't lived. And my assumption is always that it's just the most poisonous snake out there, even though a lot of times it's garden snakes, but cottonmouths are a thing. They're quite poisonous. So yeah, it's a good time. So one day I'm walking Fern and she loves pine straw. It's basically like fluffy mulch. That's the worst way to describe it. It sounds like what it is. Anyway, you put it around trees. Fern loves that it's fluffy. She drops her deuces there. It's just a really comforting experience for her overall. I indulge her. I've never tried it myself, but I guess I could give it a whirl. Anyway, we're doing that. And then we're walking through it. I'm wearing flip-flops and suddenly there's a snake. And I was like, oh God. And I know there's a snake because it starts wiggling. And I think it was trying to run away from us, but its little snake brain couldn't comprehend to run away, and instead it just ran, I guess slithered, and it started chasing us. And so Fern is leaping and bouncing away like a rabbit. I'm shuffling awkwardly. I don't know why. I just immediately thought, let me spread my legs like I'm on a horse and just start to shuffle backwards, just staring at the snake as it slithers towards us. And then I don't know what happened at the last second. It moved away. And then Fern and I just looked at each other and I was like, what the actual fuck just happened? So I've been chased by a snake. A couple weeks ago, I was hungover walking Fern in the morning and we were just chilling and the sun was baking. And I just was trying to have an out-of-body experience at that point because my body was in such pain. And suddenly Fern jumps, and Fern has some muscles. So she's like a whippet mix. She has that greyhound vibe, and greyhounds are nothing but muscle. That's why they look like cute little aliens. So when Fern jumps, she jumps. And so she leaps in the air, and I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I see this big old brown tube thing slithering away, and I'm like, oh my God, it's another snake. Now, Fern didn't get bit, she just happened upon it. So I'm having more snake interactions than I would like. And Fern likes to obviously go out at night sometimes. So now I'm just cautiously walking around with my flashlight on, which I'm not sure what that'll do because I have been in broad daylight and I still don't see them. But I guess it's better to know what's coming for you. Which brings me to last night. I'm walking Fern and I have the flashlight on. And then I feel weird because we were close to somebody's door. And I don't know, I feel like me having a flashlight, it's like, I'm going to break in. I don't know why. Who would break in and have a flashlight to draw attention? This is just the logic my brain holds. So I turn off the flashlight and, Fern's just like, sniffing around. And then I feel something get on my foot. Okay, again, I'm wearing flip-flops. Something of a cold embodiment sits upon my toes. And in the dark of the night, I just quietly go, oh, like that's what I said. So imagine you're in your apartment. You see someone walking their dog. They have a flashlight on. It suddenly goes off. And then you just hear quietly that weird ghostly moan. I would not be okay with that. So apologies to my neighbors. But to be fair, I hear the people who live there fight all the time. Like, it's one of those things where you just kind of cozy up to your screen door and just kind of listen in. And it's actually funny when this happens. I see all of my neighbors just start to slowly appear on their patios and stuff. And we all just listen in because they have their doors wide open and they just go at it. So they probably wouldn't care. But anyway, I'm unknowingly becoming the creep of the neighborhood. And if you recall, the last creep in the neighborhood was the night swinger, who was the adolescent who would go on the swing set. My apartment faces the playground and would just swing at night. And I would hear the creaking at night. I'm just like at home reading a book. And I was like, oh, okay, this is creepy. That's some ghost shit right there. So now it's me. I'm flashlight creeper girl, I guess. But anyway, I don't know what was on my foot. I'm going to assume it was a frog because that's just the only option I'm okay with. I am not okay with a cockroach or a palmetto bug, which is basically a cockroach with wings. Yes, we might be in hell. To further go along with the wildlife adventures I have with my dog, we have an alligator. And if you've actually listened to the first few episodes of this podcast, you'll know that I've talked about this alligator before. He hangs around sometimes in my complex. So we have these two ponds that are connected via like sewage pipe things, whatever. And then that leads out to like ocean shit, water. So the alligator comes and goes. And yeah, one day we have this skinny little alligator, and I named him Gucci because he looked like he could be a little Gucci belt, which I realize is a very dark thing to consider since people do wear alligator skin. But we're going to go with it was really cute and quirky. So Gucci has been, chilling out, and then didn't see Gucci for about 8 months, I feel like, or a year. And then Gucci came back. Gucci rose up again, and Gucci's a little bigger, Gucci is probably like the size of a dog. He likes to sunbathe sometimes. So, walking around, there's an alligator just in my backyard. And again, I'm right by the playground, and I got this notification from my apartment, and it was the most hilariously bizarre notification from an apartment complex I've ever gotten. This is the email I received from my complex. Dear residents, law enforcement recently apprehended several teenagers who were quite far along in attempting to remove the alligator that resides in our ponds and take it elsewhere. Those teenagers have been hit with some pretty hefty charges and fines and will be required to make court appearances. We believe they did not act alone, but were prompted to do so by an adult who may or may not live here at the community, which we are looking into. We want to make sure everyone is aware of this for a couple of reasons. First, please be on the lookout for anyone harassing or attempting to take any wildlife from our community. If you see anyone fishing or lurking around the ponds, other than relaxing and enjoying the scenery or just walking, please call our courtesy officer. If you cannot immediately reach either of us, please call the non-emergency number for the city of Charleston. Lastly, please know that it is a crime to harass wildlife, punishable by heavy fines and possible jail time, in addition to putting your lease with us in jeopardy. We believe that most of our residents care very much about the issue, as I do, yes, as several of you were very kind to report and assist with this situation. We're extremely grateful to you. What the hell? I want to know why I wasn't invited to the alligator snatching party. I want to know which adult thought it'd be great to get a bunch of teenagers to get this alligator, because that is genius. The teenagers get in trouble. You don't. They're kids. They get off easily, I guess. I don't know. But also, I'm quite disturbed. And I'm not going to lie, I have a feeling I know the parent who probably did this. And no tea, no shade to the people I live with, but a lot of the parents in this community really don't give a shit. And I can tell you that because if you watch my Instagram stories, I sometimes talk about the demon children that hang out by the playground, and they scream, they swing bats at each other, and their favorite game is to pick up a rock and bang it on the electrical box that is like 5 feet away from my apartment. It's not cute. So I have a few ideas, and I definitely wanted to play Nancy Drew and see what I could figure out, but since I live here, I don't want to, ruffle any feathers. if you will. But I have definitely, on my night walks, just been waiting to see, who's going after Gucci and what are they planning to do with it. Follow-up questions I have to that email they sent me. Were they successful in actually grabbing it at some point? Who decided, oh, that's awkward, let me call? Because I'm somebody who never knows what's a true emergency. It's one of my faults, kind of like how I had tonsillitis for a whole week, but I just was like, it's a cold, it's fine. I'm not one to be trusted if to know if something's a dire situation. So I'm just imagining if I was walking Fern and I witnessed this, I would just be confused. I probably would have done something, but it just would have confused me for the most part. And I don't know how you think that's a great idea to wrestle an alligator. And again, Gucci is big enough to rip off an arm at this point. Because alligators do this thing when they bite you, they twist. And that's how they get a lot of shit done in the alligator business. So it's not that they would just bite you. They would bite and twist, which would then be like making you shredded pork. Okay. Anyway, I don't know. But this also brings me to another point in my wildlife fun, that as I walk Fern at night, I'm also wondering, what if Gucci has crawled a little further up land? Again, Gucci tends to stay closer to the pond, and I can see Gucci, but you never know. I can't predict what an alligator is going to do, and now it has something to fight about. It wants revenge, most likely. It won't know that me and Fern weren't involved. So now I have to watch out for an alligator with a vendetta at night. And Fern loves reptiles and amphibians. She loves frogs. She loves barking at the turtles until they hop back in the pond. And the few times that Gucci has been out and about, Fern is highly intrigued. Like, if I didn't have her on a leash and she broke free, she would go over there and try to play with the alligator, which is not good. I have come to terms with the fact that Fern could be a really cute three-legged dog, but I don't want to go through that. So I'm just very hyper aware of the animals in my life right now, I would say. It's a very strange time for me. My friends always joke with me, my friends who don't live here. They're like, where do you live? Like, are you in the wilderness? And it's weird because Charleston is a city, but yeah, I don't know. We're really good at incorporating with all the wildlife here. I mean, once I was driving to Walmart and an otter crossed the road in front of me. And that's weird because otters should not be living out where I live. These are just the things that happen. Yeah, so basically what we learned is I'm just afraid that I'm going to get bit by a snake and then eaten by an alligator. And then teenagers are going to come and, I guess, pull my body out of the water and probably, like, I don't know, use me as a beanbag? I don't know. They seem kind of disturbed, but also kudos. I don't know. I don't know where I morally stand on that. Yes, I do. Don't try to take alligators on your own. You are not Steve Irwin. Don't even. Let's see what else. I am still trying to work on socializing and interacting with establishments because that's something that makes me very anxious. And I used to go there frequently enough that I could get used to things. And so what I mean by that is grocery shopping, going to the doctor, walking in public on a sidewalk or trail and seeing someone come towards me from many feet away and learning what to do with my eyes, my hands. What do I do? Do you smile? Do you pretend they don't exist? What's going on? And so I've reached a point where I can safely do some of these things now. And Charleston has a lot of great county parks. So I go to one with Fern, and I've been trying to walk the trails now and just get used to weird, casual human interaction where you don't talk to somebody, but you have to figure out what you do. And this might be a me thing, but when I see someone far up ahead coming towards me, I just go into panic mode. I shut down and I just start to feel like I walk like a robot. And I don't know like what the etiquette is of in-pass interactions, which is why I try to wear sunglasses whenever I can so no one can see my true emotions. But I realized that since I'm really out of practice and I've been doing these trail walks very sparingly, I'm not actually enjoying the walk and I'm mostly stressed the whole time. And I would like to enjoy it again. And I wasn't perfect at this before, but I feel like this is something I can work on. And since I haven't been great about working out in general, I feel like walking outside is a solid body movement exercise. Elaine, God. Which, if you want like a really good podcast to listen to while you do that, Carolyn Cohen has Wellness While Walking, and she'll go through some wellness facts and topics, and she has a little beep in the middle of the episode, so you know if you're walking a certain length to turn around, or just to note that you're halfway through a half-hour walk. So it's really cool. But yeah, I've been really awkward lately, and I don't want to lose that. So I'm currently going through my own exposure therapy of awkward passerbys, the APB, if you will. So for example, if I want to work up to a point where if I was walking by a bunch of teenagers stealing an alligator, I could wave and say, hey, and not feel weird about it. So things like that. And then there's a grocery store near me that terrifies me. There's a grocery store by me that's okay, and then there's like a really great one, and it's still reasonably priced. They just have better products. It's nicer overall. But I'm afraid to actually go there because it's overwhelming. And I don't know why this store has formatted the way they have, but instead of walking into a store and seeing all of the aisles vertically presented to you, as most grocery stores have, so you have a lay of the land, all of the aisles are horizontal. And they're really long, to the point that you'll have two aisles technically in the same stretch. There's like a little break hallway. So it's incredibly hard to know what is happening. And as someone who already gets overwhelmed by grocery shopping, I don't like walking down insanely long aisles and not knowing where I'm ending up. It's a very stressful experience. And it made me feel better because I thought it was just a me thing. And then I was explaining the setup to somebody else, and they were like, I've never heard of a grocery store having that kind of shit show going on. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Thank you. So we're just going to pretend it's not me. I'm not anxious at all. But they have like really cheap peanut butter. I'm not going to lie. That's like the main reason I wanted to go. And they have a better beer selection. And I have been holding off on going. I was like, no, you know what? Today's the day. I'm a goddamn woman of power. I have the ability to get in my car and go do this. And so I went to this grocery store the other day and I got a lot of things. Now, I was too afraid to get some of the things I wanted. The few times I've gone to this grocery store and I wanted to go get like a bag salad or something, there's always someone stocking the salads. And right now I can't just sneak in there, right? Like I want to be like COVID appreciative. And also it's just always awkward to me to be like, you're stocking shelves. Let me just go in there and ruin everything. I get really panicky about that, I guess you could say. So I just avoided that. And that was one of the main things I wanted. I, for some reason, ended up by the deli meats, and I figured, okay, well, I'll get stuff to make a sandwich. So I picked up this cheese that was way too expensive for what it was, and I realized I didn't want it anymore, but I had already walked away, and there were two people talking, and I didn't want to do this whole thing where I had picked it up, looked at it, put it back down, picked it up again, and then I had already walked 4 steps away. I couldn't go do it again. So what I did is I went and looked at other cheeses, and I picked up one to be like, wow, that's interesting. And then I held it in the same hand as the sliced cheese. And then I pretended to be so engrossed with another cheese. I put down both the cheeses, picked up the other cheese, was like, never mind, and walked away like it never happened. I realized that that is awful, and that is not helpful to the poor workers who are just constantly trying to deal with people's bullshit. I don't do that as often anymore, but I kind of blacked out. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I almost didn't go at the bread aisle. I kept walking around multiple times because one person was in the aisle, and I feel weird if I approach an aisle that someone is in, and this is not even talking about coronavirus. I just always feel weird, like I'm encroaching on a private moment. And then I feel the need to scurry away if someone's coming close to me, even if I'm not done. I don't know, guys. I don't know if I've ever gone this in depth about why I get all weird about grocery shopping, but this is why it's not a great enjoyable experience or even productive for that matter. Anyway, I got a lot of things in my basket I didn't necessarily want to because my hands just kept awkwardly grabbing things, but I did get like sandwich stuff. I got my peanut butter and I got my beer. So, these are the little wins I'm going for, and I'm just going to keep trying to do things like that. I don't think I'll ever be prepared to do a giant grocery haul at that grocery store, but I figure I can go occasionally and just pick up little things. And it's one of those things where I guess I don't ever have to defeat the grocery fear of that grocery store. But for me, it's a nice challenge, I guess, to exercise the muscles I use to get through these situations that kind of feel uncomfortable. And it just makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. I don't want to be so overwhelmed when I do need to start going out there again that I just panic and do an overload, blackout, fall to the ground, and do nothing. That's why I'm trying all these different things. Like, for example, I'm used to never inviting people over to my home. And that used to be because it was utterly disgusting. I've gotten my shit together, so it's not barbaric, but it's not like always the best. But growing up, I never invited people over to my home. And I've always felt like I had nothing to offer and there would be nothing to do. Like, I didn't know why anyone would ever want to come to my home. I would always think like, oh, this person has the better TV, or they have the better setup, or they're just more entertaining than I am. I have nothing to offer. And I'm also very protective of my space. So, there have been some people who have stayed at my house and I felt like they were criticizing some of the things I had going on when they were my own personal choices. And I didn't quite know what to do with that. And it made me want to be like, I don't want to have people over if they're just going to shit on the house that it's taken me actually a very long time to personally go through my own shit to, I don't know, hang up paintings and stuff. I don't know. There's like a lot of weird things. And I don't know. I've gotten a lot better about it, but I have a lot of people coming over fear and hosting fear. But what I'm doing now is I'm actually trying to host more things. Obviously, I can't really throw big parties right now, and I'm not ready to do that. But having small little gatherings of friends here and there, I've had a couple of friends over, and it's been delightful. I'm learning how to host, and I'm learning that it's not about the stuff, it's about the people. And also, if you offer people booze, they are very excited to come hang out with you. But more importantly, it's about friendship. And that's just something I was never able to do. So I'm kind of excited that I'm getting to flex that muscle because I would love to be the person. And I don't know if you guys do this. Do you ever imagine like the kind of person you want to be? Like, that very vibrant, fun lady in your life who's confident, but is also incredibly nice to people. And you just trust her. She knows things. I would love to be that kind of person. So I don't know. I don't know if that's like a weird thing I do, but I want to be the person who throws the fun parties. People know that if there's a silly event, I'm going to throw something and it's worth coming to and we'll have really fun memories from that night. That is something I aspire to be. But you can't become that person if you don't start hosting and at least establishing that people are allowed over to your place and to see the dungeon that you live in. So that's where I'm working right now. And I feel like I can still build that up for a little bit. And then once a lot of the pandemic has kind of chilled the fuck out and I can have a more superb gathering of my friends, then that'll be when I throw my first like rager with board games. Let's see, it's Prime Day as I record this, and it'll be Prime Day when this is released because I'm recording the night before because I just can't get my shit together. But it's Prime Day, and I'm having one hell of a time supporting capitalism. Let me tell you, our company has been giving away Amazon gift cards for certain prize things, and so I've been hoarding mine. And today is my reckoning. I am slaying it. And I'm not gonna lie, it's one of those things where for Prime Day, and I know this is what they want you to do. They want you to see the deadline. They want you to panic and just instantly buy and not think about things. And I'm not that kind of person. I think about how that's true, and then I do it anyway. That's who I am. But I'm really excited because shadow boxes are on sale. And I have been wanting to find a really cool way to display my grandmother's travel items she had. She was part of the first group of students to travel back to Europe after World War II. So she has a lot of really cool pamphlets about avoiding communists and then just her travels alone. And it's one of those things where it's easy to have a box of stuff and it's cool to go through it, but I want to display it. I don't want it to just be this secret box that I pull out from time to time. So I think I'm going to create my own museum. And I'm going to put some of her brochures and tickets and stuff into a shadow box. And the one I got is really cool. It has this like vintage vibe to it. I guess I'll be my own museum and rotate out the things from time to time. But I'm really excited about that because I've never known how to display my travels so I can prove to people I have self-worth because that's obviously what it's all about. But I'm the kind of person who collects the tickets, the receipts, the maps. And I like to do that because I kind of have a shit memory. And so it'll remind me where I was on certain days, what restaurants I visited. It can help spark other memories too. So I have to try to be my own memory log sometimes. I don't know if you do that. If you haven't, maybe give it a whirl. But now I have a couple of shadow boxes where I can put my things in there and they'll be safe because right now I have a cork board and I've just stuck things on the cork board willy-nilly. So now I'll be able to at least break it out by country, region, what have you. So that's like my most exciting Prime purchase. I'm debating getting a fire pit because animals hate fire. And I'm clearly in a war with nature right now, and I'm not feeling it. In creative news, I am currently working on the Christmas special for this year, and I'm really excited with the idea I have. Unfortunately, it's an original idea, so I can't quite piggyback off of a story already. Last year, I basically did a Christmas Carol with podcasts, and now this year, it's just my own thing. I'm sure it's based on something because nothing's original anymore, but I basically have to do it myself, and I've hit such a big creative writing block, and I'm getting stressed because I kind of need that shit to be wrapped up by the end of this month, to be honest, if not sooner, because that is a lot of moving factors to edit that episode. It's basically like a movie. It's a saga. And I feel like I handled my shit pretty well last year, but clearly, as you've heard in the past couple episodes, and even in this one, I don't quite have it as together. And so I really need ideas to come to me and then come into words. And I think I am blocking myself from writing because I'm afraid it won't be as good as last year, or I won't be able to make it better. And I don't want it to suck, especially because it'll take so much time. So that's where I am. And that's actually been a lot of my creative mopey block posts I've been making. It's all about the Christmas special. So hoping that can come together. Will there be an original song? I can neither confirm nor deny this, mostly because I just don't know how last minute I'm going to set that up for. But it's a cool idea, I hope. And I don't know. Actually, I don't know. But I sat down on my creative Sunday that I like to do now. I set the timer for an hour, and I told myself, I'm going to work on this. And by the end of the hour, it was great. I had a whole 2-page document of the outline for my NaNoWriMo novel I'll be doing in November, which is definitely a top priority of all the things I have going on. So go me. It is actually a plot I have talked jokingly about doing for years now, and I just decided 2020 is the time. It's a detective novel based on cheese. Everyone's name is named after cheese. So my main guy is Detective Jack Colby, and there's just nothing to do with cheese. It's just everyone's name is cheese. I don't know why it brings me such delight, but it does. And I have the whole plot written out, which I've never truly had a formulated plot going into Nano. I try to have bullet points, so I have a vague idea of what's going on, but this might be the most cut and dry. I know what's happening. And I think because it's going to be a detective story, I can play on a lot of tropes, and that can get me through a lot of things. But yeah, so I did that, but that's not not really as important as the other things I have on my plate right now. But, I'm going to try. I realized I started listening to Christmas music, and that's how I got my first few pages of the Christmas special done. So I guess I just need to buy some eggnog, try that again, do that thing where I put up the fireplace video loop on my TV, so I feel like I have an actual fireplace, which maybe I should direct to the outdoors. So again, I can ward off snakes and alligators, but I don't know, we'll see. And maybe just cozy on in and just write and let it out. So I would love for you to send me some great Christmas vibes for the holiday special. That'd be lovely. Anyway, who loves a good bout of self-doubt? But overall, in this not coherent episode, I would say I'm still doing okay. And I have some plans for my future that I'm working on rolling out. And I think mostly I'm just in the in-between, which is gross. I know kind of where I want to go, but I'm here and there's not much I can do about it right now. And I think that that's just sort of frustrating. And that might be making me frustrated about other things in my life, but these are the little wins I have. And it's fun to get to share my other little stories with you because I don't get to just blab them to people in the present as much anymore. So I hope you really enjoyed listening to my life, I guess. Thank you for hanging around here. If you see a snake, just don't. And if you get bit by a snake, try to see what it looks like. And if they start chasing you, just run. Do not. And if you're going to steal an alligator, don't get caught. Pfft, posers. Thank you so much for listening. You blessed, blessed human. I'm so sorry and delighted. If you would like to kind of have more extra content, I would highly recommend following me on Instagram at AngusIT. I update my stories all the time, and you can see live footage of Fern attacking turtles, frogs, what have you. And you can also follow me on Twitter at AngusIT. My website is actively being updated at www.angusit.com. Quite exciting, so you can find the episode notes there. I have a line of hipster witch apparel available, which you can find at angusit.com in one of my links, or you can go to teespring.com/stores/Angus-I-T, and that's Angus like the cow, I like the body part, and T like the drink. I hope that you have a safe snake mating season. That's it. And with that, I will talk to you, hopefully, if I live, next Wednesday. Bye, Heifers.